What's up, Blasianeers and Blasianettes? We are about to dive into the fifth season of The Walking Dead. So, spoiler warning, if you have not gotten caught up, go get caught up right now. Get off this video, because if you stick around, you just fucked it up for yourself. So that's your warning. Now, how about that season premiere opener? Is everybody still on that? I mean, the best way to describe that season premiere is Carol. I can only describe it in that name, Carol. Oh man, I know. I mean, some of us, me at least, and I'm sure some of you have predicted that she didn't make it to Terminus yet, and she could be the group's only hope of getting out of there. And she was a major help in that, and holy fuck! And all she used was a fucking firecracker, just to get herself in there. Like, well, and yeah, and pour herself in Walker guts and everything too. But still, she didn't do a whole lot. I mean, the governor did a lot more when he destroyed the prison, and she destroyed Terminus much more epically. Like, wow. And then we discovered that these people are cannibals. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you anticipated, because there were hints here and there, but you really see that, okay, you were right. These guys are that fucked up. And they're probably the most fucked up people that Rick has ever come across. I mean, the most disturbing people that he's ever came across, in my opinion anyway. And not the scariest, but the most disturbing, you know what I mean? But my favorite part of this first half was with that, with them dealing with Gareth and the rest of the people from Terminus. So the Terminus people were my favorite part of the first half. And when Rick took him out of the equation, and he, with good reason, I would have done the same thing if I was in his shoes. From there on, the rest of the first half was pretty. I'm sorry, I was not really digging the hospital story, like where we find out where Beth is being held at. I did not dig those people at all. I mean, like, that group did not seem like threatening to me at all. I mean, like, not like one bit. But Dawn does kind of remind me of the Alpha, from, in the Whisper storyline in the comics. That's, I do see some similar character traits there, in my opinion. I think so. I mean, am I the only one who thinks that? And I feel really bad, because when they introduced Noah, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it. I felt bad for saying that, but no. And then I liked how Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita are better, developed this season. I mean, they were just introduced in the second half of season 4, but in this one, they're more, they feel more relevant, and and they're, and finding and discovering that Eugene is not a scientist, and that really changes, Abraham's his goal in life. You know what I mean? And of course, everybody's devastated that he lied about a cure, and that's what people want to hear. But his vision, however, was still legit. But we'll get to that in a minute. And but when Bob died, I mean, like, when they gave him Dale's death, I mean, I thought to myself, like, and they were eating his leg in front of him. I'm like, wow, that was disturbing shit. And that was disturbing to see in the comics too. And I'm like, I hope they do the Walker bite, on Bob, just so we can be like, yeah, that would be like Bob's fuck you moment to Gareth and everybody else, like how it was in the comics when Dale did that. Like, please, please, please do that. Just for Gareth, like, just for them, just, come on, just do it. And they did, and I'm like, yes. Hashtag tainted meat. I love that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you mimicked that, reenacted that moment that Bob had when he was like, tainted meat! You are eating tainted meat! Oh, that was great. And, oh, man. But, I guess we will never know if you were to eat. I guess if you were a cannibal and you ate somebody who got bit, and would that infect you somehow? Would that, kill you or something? I guess we may never know. I mean, that I guess that that theory and that question dies with Gareth and the rest of the Terminus. And wow. And that mid-season finale was okay, but when it got to the very end, that's when it was like really, really heart shattering. And when Beth died, and what is even more heartbreaking is like, when remember when Daryl told Beth that she's never going to see Maggie again in the second half of season 4? I mean, like, I bet that had to have, really, really was heart shattering, because he said that to her and then he was actually right, and that had to have really, really, shatter him. Like when he said that to her, and when he carries her dead body outside and then Maggie sees her and she's crying and he's crying. I mean, like, wow. I mean, like that. I mean, I thought of that afterwards. Like he did tell her that she wouldn't see Maggie again, and he was right. And then that's what made it even more heartbreaking, that ending. You know what I mean? And then when they come back from its break, and then Tyrese dies, I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, damn it! Like, it had, like, you're thinking, yeah, like, it's The Walking Dead. It barely has chill, but damn! I mean, that is something they haven't done before. Okay, mid-season finale. Okay, mid-season premiere, it's back. Then you lost someone else. Like, wow. I think that's the first time they did that. Like, when the break starts and the break is over. You know what I mean? Then that is insane. And then when they get to one of my favorite storylines in the comics, when they get to Alexandria, I'm like, yes, one step closer to Negan. And I loved how they changed Deanna from a creepy old man who, like in the comics, and who will kill if he has to, and he has, like 50 shades of fucked up. But with her, she's just, she's a decent decent human being, and she means well, and she is not willing to kill the living. She does not allow that in the community. She does not allow violence in Alexandria in any way and whatnot. And her punishment is to, kick them out, kick people out. And Rick is like, you can't do that. I mean, like, there is an abusive wife-beating husband there, and it's like, like, I think we should kill him. I mean, like, what if he, what if he kills his wife? What if he kills somebody else? What if what if Deanna's plan goes wrong? You know what I mean? And haven't you noticed that in this season, when Rick makes a call and someone speaks against it, and then like, Rick has a plan and then nobody listens to it, and then something really bad happens if they don't go on with Rick's plan. That's happened a lot this season. Like in the first half, when Rick said, "Let's go back to Terminus and finish them off," and they're like, "No, I mean, like, it's filled with walkers and there's no point." Well, like, I'm not going back there. It's just a waste of time. And when Rick is talking about killing those, the officers at the hospital, and then Tyrese, said, "No, let's make a trade. Let's negotiate with them." And then they lost Beth. And then this with Deanna, and Deanna doesn't listen to Rick, and then and then her husband gets killed. Yeah, I mean, that's fucking crazy. And how about Noah's death? I mean, like, I felt bad for saying, like, yeah, I mean, he's not gonna last. And then when Nicholas gets Noah killed, the spinning doors, I mean, the first time when I thought of spinning doors, it was when that scene in Superman. If you've seen the Superman with the Christopher Reeve version, where he goes to change into Superman, he runs into the spinning doors, and he's spinning around, and then he comes back outside as Superman. That's what I thought with those spinning doors. But now I think of that Noah's death. Like, oh man, that was really, really gut wrenching. Oh man. And Gabriel, when he tried to sell out Rick and the gang, and I'm like, you are a hypocrite, dude. You are the same guy that left the members of your church out there to be ripped apart by walkers when they were begging you to let them in the church, and you would not do it. You locked the doors, and you just did not let anyone in, and you just hear them being ripped apart and everything. I mean, like, who are you to judge that group? I mean, seriously, especially not to mention that they saved your ass like a few times, and then he tries to get himself killed in the season finale, and like I guess for he can no longer live with that guilt that he let people die, yeah, and then I guess he came back from that, so he has like his development in the following season is much more satisfying. So, and with that all being said, this gets a 4.5 chair spins out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5, baby. And I loved how Rick was reluctant to go to Alexandria at first too. I mean, because all the shit that he's gone through, and it's like, no, it could be Woodbury, it could be Terminus again, like if it was season 1, he would have begged Aaron to take him back to the community in the heartbeat, like seriously. But I can't say I blame Rick. I mean, like, I can't blame him for being reluctant. I mean, like, you don't want to take chances, and it could be a threat, but it's not the threat that they were anticipating. They're a threat because they don't know how to fight. And they never had to survive. They just lived with inside the walls. They didn't really adapt to this world, and that's what made them dangerous. You know what I mean? And the whole thing with Rick and Jesse. The only thing I did not really agree with is when he kissed her all creepy, like when they were at Deanna's party, and then there was an awkward moment, and I'm like, I wouldn't have added that into the episode. I would have had where they get close, he hands her Judith, and they get close, and they look at each other, and they have that moment where they're just eye fucking the hell out of each other, and then before anything else could happen, somebody walks in, and then that's when they sort of back away from each other, like, oh yeah, we'll be back, we'll be back to the party, that's just me. But I mean, yeah, this was a great season, like overall, and I loved how they built up Morgan reuniting with Rick, and then you see him, and you're like, why is he more well put together? I mean, like, last time we saw him, he was batshit crazy. Like, what is his story? I want to know why he why does he seem redeemed? I mean, like, like, what is his story? And I loved how Rick, I loved how they waited until the very last scene, the very last ending, for those two to meet. And I loved how they had those end credit scenes with him in the episode too. And so it gave us a lot to look forward to. So yeah, let me know what you thought of season 5. And if you enjoyed this review, make sure you thumb it up, and make sure you click subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I will review season 6, even though I've reacted to the whole season, but we're going to relive it, and I'm going to review it. And we will be seeing the season 7's Comic-Con trailer. So keep on the lookout for that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.